of what she writes here. Thank you so much to you both for talking about homosexuality in such a way, such a nuanced way. I've been looking for communities like this that would not turn away homosexuals. I have many friends and acquaintances that are, as well as a few who are transgender, that agree with your message, as well as other creators' messages, but was not sure whether to send them, as many places will drive them away. So these other places will drive them away. You guys are the first I've come across who have the balls to stick up for people like this. That's a great choice of words. Who have the balls to stick up for people like this poor man. This is true here. This poor man who was murdered by these anti-whites, even though he happened to be a homosexual. Good on you. Yes, if you serve white well-being, you may serve it with us. Now, here's an important, not the other side, but an attendant thought that comes from C.G.L. Rockwell, who is here earlier at least. He writes here, I'll try to make it past the AI. And I guess that's the AI on YouTube. No, he writes, we should not accept the first three letters of the ELG, etc., cutting off at trans. This is subversion and not good for white well-being. The privacy of your own home thing is exactly how it started. And we should call it out, not accept it. But because some people did some positive things for us and we want more inclusivity, we must still oppose evil in all forms. There is no act of deviancy that benefits our people. Change my mind. Time for Catboys too. That's a reference we won't get into, coming from another channel, but maybe a bit of a Cheshire Cat grin here to that reference. But I write in return to our good friend. I write, LOL, no, brother. I think you know well that we are never going to see any such choices or choosers elevated as the ideal in white well-being. Positive white men and women and their positive families are our ideal. And so just to expand briefly on that, you can be attracted to whatever sex you want. You can, if you desire to put on the clothes of the opposite sex, and this is something that you don't want to bring to others, you don't want to encourage others, certainly not our children. It's something that you want to do. It's your thing. And you want to serve white well-being. Of course, no one is welcome to serve white well-being that is going to harm children, harm animals, anything like that. But if you want to serve white well-being and you have some immutable characteristic, there's something about you that causes you to want to dress in the clothes or put on the makeup of a lady, or you're a woman and you want to dress like a man, or whatever it is, like a man at home, or just, I guess, let me just say in general, you keep that to yourself. We are not going to celebrate, and I'm going to speak to Rockwell's other comment about this in just a moment. We are never going to celebrate anything that falls short of the ideal in service to white well-being. But we are all going to make allowances for those who fall short of the ideal. Not all of us are going to be the perfect man in the world. I know I'm not. Not all of us are going to be the perfect woman in the world. Not all of us are going to be able to have the perfect husband-wife scenario and raise that perfect, 7-child or whatever it might be, family where they all are just blissful. That's what we shoot for, because we know that that is the ideal that brings about the strongest possible family unit, the most energy, creativity, integrity, beauty, that then transmits itself in agreement with the other families to a broader community that thus expresses itself with these same talents and abilities and integrity that are critical to the maintenance of Western civilization, that then transmit with other communities to a great, powerful, noble, heroic, godly Western kind. That is our ideal, and we all must be striving for that ideal. Some of us are never going to get married. Some of us are not going to be very bright. Some of us are going to fall short in many different ways. Some of us are going to be born with horrible diseases. Some of us are going to acquire those diseases with age, and we're not going to be able to function the way that we had could have functioned and would have been a better performer, a better whatever it might be, because of the presence of the disease. Some of us are going to be attracted to the sex that is not productive for the maintenance and the success of our people. Having said that, immutable characteristics do not prevent anyone from serving white well-being. It has nothing to do with inclusivity or any of these anti-white terms whatsoever. We are not making an appeal to any anti-white or anti-whiteism at all. We are not the conservatives. This is not motivated. There is no impetus here in any way, shape, or form to appeal to the anti-white narrative and those infected with it by saying that those who, whatever their immutable characteristics are permitted to participate in the service to white well-being. We permit people to serve white well-being because we understand that the individual is strong by way of the collective, and the collective is strong by way of the individual. All of our safety is maintained by the safety of the group. The safety of the group gives us the safety of the individual. More importantly, we understand as a feeling, thinking, rational, loving people that things that folks can't change, things that they're born with, or things that happen to them, things that change them in ways that make them fall short of that ideal, are not going to be the kind of things that it would be fair to exclude them for. Not only would you exclude those people, but you are also going to exclude a great many people who are going to think it's abhorrent to exclude someone for something that they have no control over. And what do? You whittle down and whittle down and whittle down the number of people that serve white well-being until we become as ineffective as we have been in the past. So, now, having said that, speaking to Rockwell's making a good point about the what we might call deviancy, and they're defined as that which undermines, and this idea that keep it in the home was something that led to. In the old context, this idea of keep it in the home was like a starter drug for the anti-whites in undermining Western civilization, in undermining Western kind. They said, well, we're just going to tell everybody, instead of saying that it's wrong, or that what we're saying here, you're falling short of the ideal. So on our scale of ideal, we, at the very pinnacle, this apex, we say that this is the ideal. And if you're not that, you have fallen short. If you're very far from that, then you have fallen very short of it. In anti-whiteism, you're not falling short of any ideal. All you're saying is, no, you can totally dig that. You can embrace just only in your home. And they said this as the gateway drug to saying only in this part, only this bar, and then only in this community, and then only on the parades out in front of the children, and then only in the classrooms, and then only in the library reading, and then only. And so that is where it has always been placed. Now, I ask you this, Rockwell, and everybody listening, what all along was the underlying morality of that? What was the underlying morality? The underlying morality was that it was legitimate lifestyle. It was just as legitimate to do this or that as be a normal heterosexual white family. I say normal as defined as what we most broadly see, and that which works over time, demonstrated that which works over time, that was commensurate to this. And then we were told, no, in fact, these were heroes. These were superior. That's why they now have been moved in. So the entire time that what you're talking about is true, Rockwell, the entire time that they were saying only in the bedroom, in the anti-white narrative. The underlying morality was that these choices were maybe not ideal, I guess, but equal to these other choices, having a man and a woman come together in union, producing children, etc. In the anti-white service to white well-being, we are clearly stating that is not the ideal. It is not equal to having a disorder that causes you to want to set fire to everything, to be a pyromaniac, is something that is going to cause you to fall short of the ideal for some obvious reasons of service to white well-being. Wanting your attraction or whatever it might be is causing you to fall shorter than others from the ideal. So there can never be a moment in history when in service to white well-being, when we say, according to that metric, and it presupposes that if we recapture our destiny, that this is the metric, there can never be a moment when they say, well, this might not be, this might fall short of the ideal, but we're going to go ahead and promote it now because this tiny group of people feels this way. It can't happen. It's impossible. It's presupposed to the outcome that it can't take place. Whereas in anti-whiteism, it was presupposed that it was destined to take place. In fact, to supplant two completely different things. You will never see, as you will see at the MAGA events, as you will see at conservative events and nationalist events, you are never going to see a time when we are going to take somebody who falls short of the anti-white ideal and put them up on the stage. Like you have the joke at the conservative events where the one non-white guy there is on the podium and everybody's listening to him talk. That can't happen here. He is absolutely welcome to participate in white well-being, but he is not the ideal for the continuation of our people and service to our safety and well-being as a people. That's the big difference. It is a giant gulf to my sight. And if it is not a giant gulf to your sight, it is because you are still mired in anti-whiteism. Once you pull yourself out of that muck, you'll see the big difference in what we're saying here. You'll see that there is a Grand Canyon of difference between what was happening in anti-whiteism and people who have immutable characteristics that they have no control over. This is the way they are. And those who today who have these immutable characteristics and who are permitted to serve, but who will never be considered the ideal. Even falling shorter from the ideal than myself for all of my flaws. So whatever it might be, I thank you to both of you. This was Rockwell and Lady Sagehawk saying that, bringing both arguments here about welcoming those who serve white well-being, and Rockwell giving me the opportunity to clarify for you all exactly what it means to have an immutable characteristic that's accepted, but definitely considered falling short of the ideal in service to white well-being, and never going to be promoted as, look kids, this is what we're so look at the stage of those serving white well-being. You're never going to find No White Guilt on a stage saying, well, let me introduce you. We have 5 guys in service to white well-being, and there are 5 million of you out there, and they happen to have some sort of lifestyle that is different from the rest of us. Let me introduce you to all 5. That's not going to happen. So that'll happen at the patriot things, the conservative things. These imbeciles can do that sort of thing. And the reason why they do that is because they are mired in anti-whiteism. They think, as I've talked about this before, that the anti-white pretexts are their real motivations for the things they do. The real motivations for the stances they take, the actions they take. That's why they make these incorrect decisions, by thinking, well, if we just put somebody on stage that likes to dress up as a unicorn at night, and he and only one other person on planet Earth does it, then we are going to look like we are embracing all things and we are worthy of adulation by the anti-white press. Never is going to happen, because the only reason they're promoting that is because it destroys your civilization. And I've had these people reach out to me. I don't know if it's true or not, telling me this person and that person has this kind of lifestyle, that kind of lifestyle, and they oppose it. Well, good. I'm happy. I'm glad that they're opposing the reading of the, this normalizing or indoctrinating the children with these thought process. Why would anybody, if some heterosexual person who was really a sexual person and for some unknown reason, they didn't have any, I don't know, compunction. They were just very weird. And they wanted to try to talk to everybody about sex. And they wanted to make everything sexualized. And they wanted to read to our children. I would drag that person out of the library. I would not care that they were heterosexual. I would not care that they didn't want to wear the clothes of another sex or the clothes of children or whatever. And furthermore, let's be realistic. A lot of these, you hear from a lot of these folks that as well, and this is, the sort of area where people, they say, well, I don't know if this is careful or safe area or not. But we hear people from different lifestyles who have come forward and say that, well, I am living this life because XYZ. I can trace it to this exact event, and they're getting counseling for that or whatever it is. You pick up the Yellow Pages and you look at, or this is for folks around the world, this is just a book that contains phone numbers for businesses and things in every community. And you look up the therapist, look up the psychiatrist, look up the sociologist, the psychologists, look at the communities that they reach out to, the communities that are paying their Ferrari payments. And it's not the average white guy who goes to work every day and comes home, and the average white mother who's rearing the family. These two champions, these two heroes of Western kind. These are not the people that these mental health experts are making their money off of. They're making their money off of these other communities. How do you know? Because they specifically advertise to them. They fight over each other to try to get at the folks who want to have this counseling, who want to have treatment. So when we recapture our destiny, maybe we'll find cures. Maybe we'll find treatments. Maybe these people will always want to do something their own way in private, and we will never know because they'll never tell us. That will be the future. But it goes the same way with genetics. It goes the same way with having a non-white lineage in the family or whatever it is, somewhere 20 generations back, some non-white was in there, and maybe somebody feels, when we recapture our destiny, maybe somebody feels like, well, they feel like they would like that removed, and we will have the technology to just take it right out and plug something else in there. Why bind our hands? When has the white man ever failed to succeed? Why bind the hands of the spirit of the West and say, well, you can't do this, you can't fix that, you can't get over that hurdle? You are just destined to fail if that's what you do. So enough of that. I hope that all makes sense.